Fitness now apparently has a political alignment, and an absolutely pathetic new low that journalists once again stoop to, tripping from their ego to their IQ, making another fatal blow for their credibility, their entire news establishment. MSNBC now recently just ran an article covering the fact that, well, you see, fitness may as well be right-wing. It says the far-right's obsession with fitness is going digital. Imagine you're just some like standard liberal, progressive Democrat. You're a gym bro. You just sit there and you work out all the time. And you sit there, you exercise. Health is very crucial and important to you. And all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, you're right wing now. All because you focus on your health. It's absolutely farcical. The corporate press is a joke. No one should take the journalist class seriously. However much contempt you hold in your heart for the journalistic class, I promise you it isn't enough. Let's go ahead and get into this. MSNBC tweets their new article, "The Far-Right's Obsession with Fitness is Going Digital," an opinion piece. And what's funny enough about this is, which I will show something in a bit, this isn't even a new piece. They have run this consistently, and I've seen them tweet this numerous times, and I've seen it pop up solely because it gives them engagement, and the one thing the corporate press never has is engagement and traction. I talked about this in my video about the death of the legacy media. So cool, because we love to watch the corporate press spin and sputter and spout narratives that people will know is absolute bullshit, which will then reveal how much of a joke they are to even more and more people. We see opinion, why the far right is really into home fitness. Which is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, because if you're just like a standard liberal or progressive and you're just a gym bro and you work out and you know you got your occasional political perspectives, maybe you're really invested in politics, but you're incredibly healthy. Well, looks like you're right-wing now. The Krasenstein brothers, who are some journalists who live in Florida, and they're like liberal progressive types. I disagree with them on basically everything, but nonetheless, I do think that they're operating more so as honest actors than most people in the journalistic class do, despite the fact of how co-opted they are by the narrative. Nonetheless, I do truly believe that they believe what they say, despite the fact that they obfuscate for some truly heinous shit at times. So, we see Andrew Tate posting the picture of him sitting here boxing, because far-right extremism is health, apparently. MSNBC thinks you're a Nazi if you work out. LMAO, Jewish Nazi checking in. And then we have Mark Loebner, who is the owner and the CEO of Ambrosia Collective, which is a protein company. And it's not, they don't just make protein powders, they also make different kinds of stimulants and supplements from like mushrooms and all these other different kinds of things. So, we see, also, I want to cover this guy real quick because Dave's a badass, and I love seeing Dave's update posts. 113 pounds down in 12 months. I'm just trying to be not so fat, y'all. And what Dave said was he's not going to normalize obesity, he's going to defeat it. You could not have a better mindset than this man right here. Lovely individual, well worth the follow on Twitter, go give him a look. So, we see, Joe Rogan says, "Being healthy is far right," in quotes. Holy fuck. And yeah, holy fuck indeed. Elon Musk says, "Parody and reality becoming indistinguishable," which is absolutely true. I see certain things get put out on Twitter that some people say, both left and right, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is this a satire account? Is this actually a joke? And no, it's truly someone's honest beliefs, which, realistically, who knows? Me stating my perspectives could have some people thinking the same thing, that, like, certainly this person must be a troll. There's no way someone actually believes this. But alas, here I am. So, as I was saying prior, they kept posting this, and what we see is from Alex, ALX, on Twitter, who I will link his tweet in the description below. He's well worth it. He dropped some good news and information. He was just on Timcast recently. So, it says they keep tweeting this article over and over, a year old, because they know it will get them good and much needed engagement. Because the corporate press can't get engagement, because people only passively watch what they do. It's either on in the background in the TV, it's on in airports, people are occasionally reading newspapers, which realistically, who even reads newspapers that much anymore? Because the newspaper died so fast for my generation, and it was so swift that we didn't even realize it happened. We're going to go ahead and jump in. It says, "Pandemic fitness trends have gone extreme. Literally. White supremacists' latest scheme to valorize violence and hypermasculinity has gone digital." By Cynthia Miller Idris, MSNBC columnist. How much do you want to bet that this person is morbidly obese and struggles to go walk down the stairs to go get their bag of Cheetos? It says, "It appears the far right has taken advantage of a pandemic at-home fitness trends to expand its decade-plus radicalization of physical mixed martial arts and combat sports." So if you're just like a standard dude, bro, you're apolitical, you're just a guy who likes to exercise and you like MMA because you like watching dude bros fight and shit, well, it looks like you're classified as right-wing by the journalistic class now. That's absolutely absurd. It says, earlier this month, researchers reported that a network of online fascist fitness chat groups on the encrypted platform Telegram are recruiting and radicalizing young men with neo-Nazi and white supremacist extreme ideologies. Telegram is just an encrypted conversation network and communication network, much like Elon Musk is actually working on doing with Twitter. That way people can't pry in to see what's going on with your conversations because it is encrypted. You know, people like the government and the NSA, because we know they collect everyone's data simply for the fact that if they need it, they have it at their own behest. So, we see physical fitness has always been essential to the far right. In Mein Kampf, Hitler fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu, believing they could help him create an army of millions whose aggressive spirit and impeccably trained bodies, combined with a fanatical love of the fatherland, would do more for German nations than any mediocre tactical weapons training. So, the guy who had admiration for people who had conquered globe in years prior, and a man who wanted to rule the globe and ostracize the Jews from society and excommunicate them from existence, that person believed it was valuable to have a strong fundamental base with a nationalistic ideal. Of course, he's a strongman authoritarian. This is the fundamental that you would want if you wanted to be able to bestow power upon other nations and rigorously control them. The idea that this is some new idea or some farcical ideal is absurd. And it says, in more modern times, far-right groups have launched mixed martial arts groups and boxing gyms in Ukraine, Canada, and France, among other places focused on training far-right nationalist and violent hand-to-hand combat and street fighting techniques. It's caught the attention of intelligence authorities, especially in Europe, where various reports have noted that the role of combat sports and MMA is radicalizing and promoting far-right violence. A series of collaborative efforts between governments, national sports, and associated and local gyms in places such as Germany, Poland, and the UK have introduced intervention and prevention programs. So it's fascinating that they mention Ukraine, which, if this article had been written like today, like actually today and released recently rather than prior, this wouldn't have been a thing that was in it. Because the far right people that were being trained through MMA and martial arts and all these different things in Ukraine, they were part of things like the Svoboda Party and C-14, which are actual neo-Nazis that are sitting there that are the massive militant right-wing sector of the Ukrainian military, and such as the Azov Battalion, that are now controlling many of the actions that happen to Russian POWs, which is why people that are Russian POWs that are being captured are then being tortured, because many times this isn't done by standard people in the Ukrainian military, because they do still have a code of ethics. There are people that operate on a fundamental moral ethic of believing they're defending their country, and they operate on an ideal of nationalism. What's terrible about this is when the ideal of nationalism gets driven so far to the point that it's taken much like it was in the United States, where we said that it was okay because, you know, we had a terrorist program. And our terrorist program, well, it was our terror torture program. And it was okay because as long as we got information out of them, that's all that mattered. Even though everyone that knows anything about information that is acquired from terrorists, when they sit there and they torture people, what they even got was bad information. So how are we going to get good information doing the same practices? What's up, girl? So, it says the U.S. is comparatively far behind, which will only become more and more problematic, especially since the phenomenon is growing in the country, building on the established fight club culture of MMA far-right extremists. So it's just like classifying you. Oh, what's that? You like MMA? Sorry, you're far-right. So, the pandemic fitness trends have gone extreme, literally. I just want to cover that real quick because it's MSNBC. And now we'll also jump into NBC, which is not mainstream NBC, just NBC Universal Careers. Here you go. You can focus on your health, the balance you deserve. Our people and our greatest asset. That's why we offer highly competitive health and wellness and retirement benefit packages, as well as special perks that only NBC Universal could offer. And NBC Universal offers like health treatment programs. They offer like gym seminars, yoga exercises, yoga seminars, and all these other different things that can help you because we care so much about your health. But what's that? I thought being healthy and being fit was something about the far right. You know, something stupid, which it has to be something stupid if The Guardian's going to write about it. Here we see fascist fitness, how the far right is recruiting with online gym groups. And I will not be reading this one. I just wanted to laugh and spin at The Guardian and see another journalist, Mark Townsend, who is probably an obese motherfucker who couldn't walk himself to the fridge without getting winded. So, go ahead, we jump in and we see testosterone administration induces a red shift in Democrats. Wow, that was a blunder of word salad. So, we see, right here it says summary. We tested the fixity of political preferences on 136 healthy males during the 2011 U.S. presidential election season based on administering synthetic testosterone or placebo to participants who had identified the strength of their political affiliation. Before the testosterone treatment, we found that weakly affiliated Democrats had 19% higher basal testosterone than those who identified strongly with the party. When weakly affiliated Democrats received additional testosterone, the strength of their party fell by 12%, and they reported 45% warmer feelings toward Republican candidates for president. Our results demonstrate that testosterone induces a red shift among weakly affiliated Democrats. This effect was associated with improved mood. No effects were found of testosterone administration for strongly affiliated Democrats or strong or weak Republicans. Our findings provide the evidence that the neuroactive hormones affect political preferences. So, if you wanted to write a really subversive article and try and wean people away from that are, let's say, in the middle ground and are kind of leaning both left and right because they're centrist, and they're teetering and they can't figure out where they align, but realistically they align with perspectives on both sides because they're a nuanced individual, because they're just that. They're an individual. They're not a mouthpiece. And most times people have perspectives that are varying on both sides, and they have great deals of nuance that the political and journalistic class completely avoid because they don't want to do that, because it's so much easier to just gen people up against the other side and say that person's your enemy because they disagree with you. Well, that's a lie, and it's bullshit. But what we see here is that testosterone administration strongly affiliated in Democrats affects them because it effectively gives them a political shift more towards the right. And if that's the case, what you would do is you would say that health is far right if you wanted to subversively shift people away from having people who could have their minds changed do so through the process of simple hormone induction because of the actions they're taking, rather than the ideas that are being inculcated by their mind. That is a way that you would maybe, I don't know, subtly sidestep yourself away from fitness, because it's dangerous to end up making people shift their political perspective to the opposite side that you deem as the enemy. I don't know if that's actually the case, if that really has the depth behind it, because this was written in 11/24/21. That was when this was published, and these articles were released after that. And it's so curious to me that if it was written solely to be a subversive piece of text that is supposed to push this ideal without knowing it on the populace, I'd argue that's pretty devious, because what you're doing is you're trying to not only tell people they shouldn't be healthy, but in doing so, they will be the thing that will be castigated as the enemy in society. And that's solely based on the fact that they would be becoming healthier, and through the process of becoming healthier, naturally boost their testosterone, and by doing so, effectively become more right-wing, apparently based on this study. If that's really the case, that's quite sad that people would stoop to such a ridiculous degree. But in the clown world that we live in, could you honestly be surprised? That's all I've got for this. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and give this a thumbs up if you liked it, a thumbs down if you didn't. Let me know where I was wrong in the comments. Everything will be linked in the description down below as per usual, as always. Stay great, stay lovely, tell someone you love them. Peace.